Hi everybody, it's Terry Gilchrist. I am the shop owner and designer behind Naughty Naughty Lingerie on Etsy. I'm doing something really different from what I normally do. I'm making a tutorial on how to make your own breathing mask. So this is how to make one with materials you have in your own home. You can use shopping bags, hair ties, pipe cleaners if you have them. I'm also going to do a little thing at the end where I actually use a Q-tip, a Q-tip to do the bridge of the nose. It should be fairly simple. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section. If you would like one of these masks, please send me a message. I'm including them in all of my orders, but of course right now there's a lot of people who are out of work, and I don't expect panties to be high on people's priorities right now. So if you need a mask and I have one, go ahead and reach out to me and I will send it to you if I have some available. If you are a seamstress and you have these materials at your house, I encourage everybody who can sew to make these and make as many as possible. Okay, and to go over the materials, this fabric I have right here, I got at Hobby Lobby. You can also get it on Amazon or Joann's. It's called Polypropylene. I believe at Hobby Lobby they call it like Ollie Fun Fabric. It is non-woven, water resistant, and they use it in hospitals a lot for medical stuff. Now, if you don't have this fabric, you can't go to the fabric store. If you've got a reusable grocery bag that you usually pay like 99 cents for, 50 cents for, they also use this material, and so you can cut that up. The other thing you'll need is pipe cleaners. If you don't have pipe cleaners, you can also use a cotton swab. You can take the cotton swab and you need it to bend towards your nose so the cotton swab will hold that shape and give you more protection. Okay, now here is a ponytail holder elastic that you can use to hold on the ears, or you could use white, or not white elastic, but knit elastic. This is 1/4 inch wide, and I'll just cut it in a 6-inch piece. You can use wider elastic, but anything too wide might be uncomfortable behind your ears. All right, now here is the pattern. This is how you'll print it out. You will cut out the pattern. Now the pattern is half of what it should be. I did that so that it'll fit on one page. So what I would do is I cut it out, and then I would get some sort of big piece of paper, maybe even parchment paper from your kitchen, fold it, put those arrows should point towards the fold, and just lay it on there, trace it out, cut it out, and this is what it should look like. The big piece. Now, once you've got your fabric cut, I like to cut it in strips the width of the mask itself. You can either put pins through it and then cut it all the way around, or I prefer to actually use pattern weights because I think it goes faster. And I use a rotary cutter instead of scissors because, again, it goes faster. So just cut all the way around. And it doesn't have to be exact. You can see here I kind of squirrel up and cut into the pattern. But that is what the piece should look like. It should have an angle right here, and then on the edges there should be like a 1/2 inch like flat section for the fold over for your channeling. Okay, so now this fabric is great to work with. It holds its shape really well even after you just fold and crease it. And what I'm doing here is I'm creasing it a 1/2 inch, which is about the width of my thumb, and that will create the channeling for the pipe cleaner to go in to mold to your nose. So you just fold it on either side, and you should still see the crease when you go under your sewing machine. Now you can still put pins in it. Again, I'm more about efficiency and quickness, so I don't. Okay, so now we're going underneath the sewing machine. I'm just going to do a simple straight stitch. I've got the fold of the fabric all the way to the edge of my sewing foot, and I have my needle all the way to the left, so I have the widest channeling available. I'm just going to back stitch and then straight stitch it all the way down and then back stitch it at the end. And there you go. And now I'm going to repeat on the other side. That's what that looks like. Okay, here's the other side. Just sewing it straight all the way down. And that is what the fold over should look like. All right, now with inserting the pipe cleaners, I ordered 10-inch pipe cleaners but those are a little bit too long, so I like to fold them down so that they're about 8 inches. So I'll fold about an inch down on either side, because what I want is I want to have an inch on either side of this mask so that when I do the gathering on the side and stitch down the elastic, that my needle is not going to sew over the pipe cleaner, because that will break your machine or your needles. So I folded it here. I just made it nice and flat. Now these pipe cleaners I got from Amazon, they're not the greatest quality. I think the ones at Hobby Lobby and probably Joann's are better. But if you can't get to the craft stores, these will do, and they were cheap. I think they were like $7 for 100 of them. And so I'm just going to shove that down the channel, and I'm going to put it in the center, and you can see I kind of have about a little over an inch on either side of wiggle room. That does not have it. Now I'm going to do it on the bottom too, so there's 2 of them in there, but it's not necessary. But it does just hold the shape of the face better if you have them on both sides. Okay, now if you don't have pipe cleaner, you can use a Q-tip. I'm going to put it in the exact same way. I'm going to move it to the center, kind of inchworm it in. And then I might put a couple of stitches on either side of it so that it doesn't wiggle around in the channel. It stays right there in the center. But yeah, I would do that, and then you can just break that Q-tip or bend that Q-tip, and it's going to take the shape of the nose. You don't have to do it on the bottom because it won't shape to the bottom of your, it's not going to shape as well as the pipe cleaner, but you see there's how you bend it right there. So you can just do that with just at the top. Don't put one in the bottom, and then continue sewing as normal. Okay, so now what we're about to do is we're about to do the gathers on either side. Now I'm just going to freehand this, and I'm just going to gather it up like 1/2 inch pleats at a time until it's about an inch wide. It doesn't have to be, it just has to be gathered enough to shape to the face. It doesn't have to be, exact. And then I'm going to use a pin, and I'm going to pin through as many layers, hopefully all the layers, of these folds. Now I use more delicate material, so these are like fine point needles that are more meant for silks and chiffon, so I'm struggling here. But once you get the needle in, I bring it so that it's about 1/4 inch sticking out so that I can put my elastic on it. Now I'm going to do the other side. Bring it down to about an inch, stick the needle in, or pin in. Now I'm going to take my elastic. If you're using elastic, I'm going to make a loop, and I'm going to put that one side of the elastic through that needle, and that just kind of holds it in place a little bit. You still kind of have to, be careful with it. And then I'm going to make a loop and put the other side of the elastic through that needle as well. Now for the fold over, I would usually do this after I would cut all of my big pieces and then come back and do this. But what I'm doing here is that it needs to be 1 1/4 inch, but instead of using the little square piece on the pattern, I have a ruler that's 1 1/4 inch, so I'm just going to cut a strip, and then I'm going to cut 1 1/4 inch squares from that, and this just goes faster for me. Now these don't have to be exactly 1 1/4 inch, it's just, it just has to be enough to fold over and cover your elastic. Now right here I got a ponytail holder on it, but I'll show you how I did that in a second. So I'm just going to fold it over. Now I'm going to switch my machine from a straight stitch to a zigzag stitch. I'm going to put it under the needle or the foot, lower the foot. And my goal, the reason why I like to do the zigzag is because I know I have a better chance of catching both pieces of elastic, because you don't want one to come free while you're sewing. And then, because then you got to take stitches out and nothing will make me madder. All right. Then you got to do it on the other side. Snip those threads. And then just repeat that on the other side. Now there is a little bit of excess fabric on that fold over that you can snip off if you prefer. Okay, here I am doing it on the other side, zigzagging, catching all the layers, catching both edges of the elastic so I have a nice strong loop. Take that needle out, snip off the threads. Now you can sew it with the needle in if you're careful. I do it all the time, but a lot of people will frown upon that. Or you can take it out and just hold it in place.
Okay, now I'm going to make it with a ponytail holder because those are readily available. So I'm going to take my gathered up piece. I'm going to put the ponytail holder over the needle, or down onto the needle to hold it in place. And then I am going, oh wait, there it goes. So that it goes right through there and catches all of those pleats. All right, now I'm going to take the 1 1/4 inch fold over. I'm going to center it so that the fold's right in the center. Fold it over, zigzag it just the way I did with the elastic. And there you go. And this is what the finished piece looks like. Now, I did go back and tweak my pattern to make the center of the mask a little bit wider so it does cut underneath the chin a little bit more. And you also need to be mindful that these masks, they will help, but you can still contract the virus if you're touching your face, if you're not washing your hands, and if you're not disinfecting these every time you use it. But I think they did turn out pretty good, and I think if we can make enough of them, maybe we can slow this virus down. Thanks for watching.